What's up, everybody?
Caleb, it seemed a few times when plays were breaking down, you rolled outside the
Yep.
and there seemed like there was room in front of you. For you or your vantage point, what determines whether you take off and run or try to find someone open downfield?
I think it just comes down to understanding the situation. I think it also comes down to being able to get our players an explosive ball. If we complete the passes that I missed about 5 or 6, I think, on the run, which is extremely frustrating for me. Especially just kind of how my nature's been for past couple years of my career, and I think if I hit those, nothing said. But it's just being able to understand in those situations that even if I'm not hitting or anything like that, how a QB run in those situations where maybe the defense calls a good call or a perfect call or whatever the case may be, the QB takes off and gets positive yards. I think I've done a good job with that so far this year. I think today I did not, and so just being able to learn from it and move on.
Do you have any sense for why you didn't do a good job with that today? Any reason that?
I think guys got open. And I think I missed, and I think that's what it boils down to. And then other than that, it's just being able to have have it on my conscience that I can help this team not only by scrambling and delivering a good ball to receivers, which I didn't do that well today, and is also understanding that I can run and hurt a team with my legs.
The team in the locker room seems to be a great place to be at 4-2.
Yes.
Also a lot of room for improvement. How do you
Absolutely.
How do you kind of put those two things together and build a mindset on it?
Yeah, think about it. I threw an interception today, and defense had 4 turnovers, 4 sacks. I threw an interception. I didn't play well today, and then the offensive line, pushes us through. DeAndre Swift and the backs push us through for 200-plus yards on ground. And so it's being able to find ways to win is what we've been able to do, and we're going to keep doing that. But it's also being able to find ways to come together as one, that when defense has a turnover, we go down and put 7 on the board, not a field goal. And that accounts for me. That accounts for all of us on offense. That accounts for just everything overall. And so it's just being able to execute the plays that are called. It's being able to, when you have those moments for explosive plays, we connect on them. I deliver a good ball, or offensive line does a good job of blocking up, and the backs hitting the hole and having explosive plays. So I think overall there's a lot of growth that can be had, and it's insane to think that, and we're 4-2. About how much growth we have left, myself included, and like I said before, we want to hit the ground running at the right time, where we're all hitting on all cylinders. Defense is playing great, and I want to have them have their back, and just like they have ours, and we want to keep that rolling.
How frustrating is it to see the pre-snap penalties and there's some center snap exchange problems? Drew took blame for that.
Yep.
Tough to see that kind of return today.
Yeah, it's frustrating because it's the pre-snap stuff, the center QC exchange. It is frustrating just because we put so much time and energy into it. But I wouldn't say I put that on Drew or anybody. I can take that blame just because it comes down to cadence. It comes down to everybody being on one page and having everybody calm and understanding. We're going to go execute this play, and we just need to snap the ball at the right time and be able to hit plays at the right time, execute the plays, and that comes down to communication. That comes down to knowing what we have to do. That comes down to the cadence at the end of the day. And so I can always help in those situations, and we'll be better with that coming forth.
How do you handle the progress being kind of up and down?
Mm-hmm.
You like it to be linear and just progressively steps forward. How do you deal with step forward, step back?
Yep.
Game like today.
Yeah. You're saying for myself or offense? What are you saying?
Either one. Which one do you want to answer?
I'll go for myself. Days like today, I would say, are needed, just in the sense of it gives you a little bit more to be able to look back on something and figure out what. And so that's important. And so you have these moments, and then you get later in the season, and you may start to have one of these moments, and you get to go back to the feeling, go back to what was wrong, and what you need to figure out early in the season, And so now, when we're late in the season, it's like, okay, I remember what it was. I remember, how can I fix it? It's more of a solution-based, thing instead of it being like, what's the issue? And so right now we're going to go back. I'm going to go look at the film. I'm going to figure out, and I am going to figure this out, especially with, some of these explosive plays, some of these, mainly talking about the on-the-run stuff. And I haven't been efficient with those. I haven't been hitting them, and it's frustrating. And so I'm gonna, we're gonna figure this out. I'm gonna figure it out. When we start hitting on those cylinders, where we start having some of these explosive plays, especially when the play breaks, and it turns into our second play, it's going to be real devastating to the other side. So we're going to figure it out. I'm going to figure it out. And then other than that, it just comes down to the basics: feet, eyes, delivering a good ball to the guys, and then it comes down to, like I said before, communication and make sure everybody's on the same page, and we're rolling off the ball.
Caleb, in your life, high school, college, pros, have you ever had a game like this where you weren't particularly prolific and your team still won?
Yeah. I can't necessarily off the top of my head name the game, but yeah, there's been games where I may not have had my best game, and maybe ran the ball. I think there was a game where we ran the ball for around 200 yards, and I had 100-something yards passing, and maybe one touchdown, and you're just as excited. I mean the progress that we've had overall on offense, especially coming off these past 2 weeks of being able to run the damn ball. As every offensive line wants to do and says. And so there are things that I can be better at. There are things that I'm going to be better at. There are things that, weren't hitting today. And you just have those days sometime. And it's nice that we have a defense, we have a special teams, a punter, or whatever you want to say, kicker, that can put us ahead, that can help us win games, a run game that can, control the game. And so, we get this figured out on my side. We'll be putting up a lot of points to be very dangerous.
Caleb, back up to the loss in Detroit. You set an optimistic tone saying that we got 15 games left, and
Yep.
Sensibly, you won 4 straight since. What's the feeling for you now at 4-2 and looking ahead to what could come here?
Yeah, belief. Still, it's confidence. It's belief. It's living in the known. The feeling of myself this year, in the sense of when we have games, when we're going through the game plan, when we get to the end of the week, it's more of a feeling of we know we're going to win. And that's not always going to be the case, but the feeling of it is different than maybe or we got to go out here and play a perfect game or anything like that. It's living in the known of the feeling of we're going to come out here and win the game. And obviously a lot of things have to go right, and we got to execute, and we got to communication, all these different things. Defense has played well, offense has played well, special teams, all three sides of the ball, but living in the known is kind of where we're at. Even when we were 0-2, we were still living in the known that we're going to, fight back, and, we're going to be 2-2, and then we'll go 3-2, and then we'll be 4-2. And so it's living in the known. We have to, do things throughout the week, hard work, stand late, do all the right things, but living in the known is where we're living, and, we got to stay there. We got to keep being consistent. We got to, hold each other accountable. We got to do the right things to be able to stay consistent and be the team we want to be.
What's your interpretation of how the running game has gotten unlocked the way it has the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think it's come down to one mentality. I think the other one is the way the coaches have been able to help us on offense and things like that, of shifts and motions and things like that. When you start shifting in motion and you have crisscross when the ball is snapped, also it affects defenses, and it puts people out of place so that it can help with double teams or triple teams or getting up to the second level. And when you start getting up to the second level, like I said last week, and we got the backs that we have and things like that, you start seeing big creases and real explosive positive runs, and that only helps us. We got to keep that rolling, and we got to get the other half back going again.
Yeah, like I said, 4-2 compared to last year's 4-2.
Yeah, I think I would say it's similar in a way. Obviously, just because you're 4-2 and you got things rolling. But I think at this moment, I think what I said recently or just a minute ago is the living in the known of if we do the right things throughout the week, if we practice the right ways, if we, if we do enough studying, if we watch enough film, if we do all the right things, we got the coaches, we got the players, we got the belief in each other, coaches, everybody inside that building that we will, come out with a win. And, I think that's the difference.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you. The Bears.